Hi, and welcome to Japan Today Spotlight, where we take a closer look at the issues shaping Japan. I'm Jeff Richards. The number of Yakuza members, or criminal gangs, in Japan fell to a record low of 18,800 at the end of last year. This, according to the latest National Police Agency data. That's a huge drop from the heyday of the 1960s, when there were an estimated 184,000 members of organized crime syndicates in Japan. Once easily recognizable by their tattoos, missing pinky fingers, flashy clothes, and big black cars, the Yakuza have fallen on hard times in recent years. They're down, but not quite out. In this week's Japan Today Spotlight, we look at why the Yakuza are declining and what some of these former gang members are doing now. The Yakuza's roots go back to the 17th century Edo period. Edo is the old name for Tokyo. This was when peddlers and gamblers, considered society's lowest class, formed groups for self-protection. In the 20th century, the Yakuza grew out of the chaos of post-war Japan, eventually becoming large criminal organizations. They were tolerated as a kind of necessary evil for keeping order in the streets and getting things done quickly. Unlike the Italian mafia or Chinese triads, Yakuza gangs themselves are not illegal. Each group has a headquarters, and they're involved in everything from drugs and prostitution to protection rackets and white-collar crime. Some even tried to show a good side. After the Great Hanshin earthquake in 1995, for example, Yakuza groups were prominent in supplying aid to survivors. At Halloween, the Yamaguchi-gumi, Japan's largest gang, famously handed out candy to kids at their Kobe headquarters. They also made appearances at local festivals, and some of their businesses still do, as they have their hand in some of the food, beverage, and other sales stalls, otherwise known as yatai or roten stands. Despite this Robin Hood image, they were never fully accepted by Japanese society. Signs at many hotels, restaurants, and hot springs still say that boryokudan, literally violent groups, are not welcome. That word, boryokudan, is still what police, businesses, and the media use. You will never see the word Yakuza used officially in the Japanese language. How did things start to fall apart? Well, from around 2005, tougher laws and numerous shootings over turf wars culminated in the splintering of the Yamaguchi-gumi in 2015. Meanwhile, the Sumiyoshi-kai, the second largest gang, recently sold its Tokyo headquarters this past April. New laws now prevent Yakuza members from doing basic things like opening a bank account, renting an apartment, buying a cell phone, or even getting insurance. On top of that, Japan's stagnant economy has made it harder to earn money from traditional criminal activity. The baby boomer generation of gangsters is aging out, and there's no pension or retirement plan in this type of work. Many older members are spending their final years in prison, and they're fine with that. For those trying to go straight, there's the issue of the missing pinky. It's hard to get hired when your hand gives away your past. To help with this, some companies now make prosthetic fingers for ex-Yakuza members. One Tokyo firm says it has helped over 300 former gang members so far. In a sign of true late-stage capitalism, it says a lot that we have a market for fake fingers and no real plan for societal reintegration. Some younger Yakuza are adapting, moving on to newer forms of crime where tradition, hierarchy, and honor mean nothing. The National Police Agency believes that many ex-Yakuza are now involved in loosely affiliated criminal groups called Tokuryu. These groups work in the shadows, recruiting people through social media with offers of illegal part-time jobs known as yami baito. Tokuryu groups form and dissolve quickly. They use encrypted messaging apps like Telegram and Signal. In 2024, Tokuryu groups were believed to be behind a wave of robberies, investment frauds, and romance scams across Tokyo and 14 other prefectures, making an estimated 200 billion yen. The police arrested over 10,000 people linked to these groups, and of those, 633 were classified as coordinators. Not the top bosses, but mid-level players. Now this may sound unimaginable in countries like Italy or the US, but in April, senior members from the Yamaguchi-gumi submitted a written pledge to authorities in Hyogo Prefecture promising to end their feud with rival splinter groups. Since 2020, authorities have kept all Yakuza groups under close surveillance. These restrictions have made it difficult for them to operate or even use their offices in some cases. So, this pledge may be an attempt to loosen those limits. Are we seeing the sunset on the Yakuza? Social tolerance is fading, revenue is down, and membership continues to fall. But the National Police Agency worries that something darker is replacing them. A more dangerous, tech-savvy generation of criminals who don't need tattoos or headquarters. All they need is a mobile phone. It's hard to imagine a tattooed chimpira or small-time Yakuza running phishing scams, but that's where we are. It's tempting to view the decline of the Yakuza as a good news story. And in many ways, it is. These were and are criminal organizations, after all. They make their money from drug trafficking, prostitution, construction rackets, corporate extortion, and pushing nationalist agendas from loudspeakers on black trucks. In any other country, they might have been run out of town long ago by another criminal organization, no less. And yet, their legacy lingers. The stigma they've created around tattoos, for example, once a mark of gang affiliation, still affects ordinary people in Japan today. Even a small butterfly tattoo on your shoulder might get you banned from a gym or an onsen. But as the old syndicates fade, what replaces them may be even harder to detect and harder to stop. A gang in a black car is one thing. A scammer with just a smartphone, that's something else entirely. So are we witnessing the end of an era or just the beginning of a new kind of threat? Let us know in the comments. From the Japan Today newsroom in Tokyo, I'm Jeff Richards. See me next time.